for some peace of mind, but TikTok said a gator drove a jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat, and someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Karen's got a taser in the checkout line, and Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. Oh, I'm just sitting here scrolling my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah, when it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave. I'm just...
Good morning, everyone, on this June 12th. I hope you're all going to have a lovely day today. And Super T, I hope that you and your family get a peaceful and calm, time to say goodbye to your mom without any disruption from any political shenanigans going on. I can't imagine how it would be to have to navigate around that when having to say goodbye to someone who held, such a large part of my heart. So you will be in my thoughts and prayers today. Hopefully you can get your goodbyes said without anyone being a total butt monkey and, keeping you from that. Good morning, Wolfram, my modliest mod. Momo Cuddles or Momo Cuddles? Momo. It's a bit early for me. I've been up since 4. I shouldn't say it's this early. Honestly. Good morning, Kelly, and you are super duper welcome, Super T, Tammy CA, and Jeffrey Montgomery. Welcome, Alice G, and Audio Coffee, and RJNLC. Good morning. So, what we have first is, I know that we kind of have gotten away from, Boeing catastrophes. But this was breaking as I was just waking up this morning. Obviously, if you're in the UK, this has been trending news for a while. And if you are in India, although I don't think I have any Indian viewers, but if I do, this has been big news as well. A London-bound Boeing passenger airplane with 242 people on board crashed into a residential area in India just after taking off Thursday. There is video showing, and this was very shortly after takeoff. The landing gear hadn't yet retracted. So there is no really information other than very shortly after takeoff, this airplane happened to crash into a building and sent plumes of smoke and, burning jet fuel up in fire. So now we don't know a whole lot more than Air Flight India 171 crashed in Ahmedabad, a city of about 5 million people, roughly about 5 minutes after taking off for London's Gatwick Airport, according to Faiz Ahmad Kidwati, India's Director of General Directorate of Civil Aviation. Now, wild videos show the Boeing 787 Dreamliner descending over the busy city and then bursting into a massive fireball. Now, there will not be a lot of information about what caused this crash for a while. I can tell you, as a oddly addicted person to airline disasters, Mayday airline disasters, because the Boeing is an American plane, the NTSB will be there along with the Indian Civil air kind of deputies. So there will be multiple different countries investigating this. I pray for all the families who are waking up today, finding out that their relatives might no longer be with us. And for the people that were in the building, I mean, again, no one expects an airliner to go into their building. But as of right now, we don't have very much more information than that, and I think it would be kind of irresponsible for anyone to try to conclude that this was any sort of issue that could be because of the recent tensions between India and Pakistan, although that has been, some of the conjecture that is going on. Again, not from any reliable sources. And yes, I do watch UK news like it's my job at 4 a.m. in the morning. So, I will say that it seems like there were 169 Indian nationals, as well as 53, people from the UK, 7 from Portugal, and 1 from Canada. So again, this is very early days. This just happened well, I guess 9 a.m. local time in India. So it's going to be a while until investigators can even get onto the scene. And unfortunately, with crashes like these, with the amount of jet fuel that they had on board, it is very unlikely that anyone survived. I hope that there are miraculous survivors, but it is unlikely. You're probably going to see a lot of this coming up. Again, because this was an American-made Boeing airplane, the NTSB will also be on board helping kind of figure out what happened. That being said, the 787 Dreamliner has had in comparison to the all of the jetliners that we were hearing about earlier this year, this is not, this is not the same Boeing airplane that was kind of in with those things. This has actually, a fairly good safety record. So, okay. And Jeffrey Montgomery, okay. I just didn't want to report any numbers until they had a little bit of time on this, just because those things are so fluid. But that being said, it might be in other news articles. I just kind of wanted to give you the headline and then, wait for more trusted information to come out. That being said, like I said, prayers for all the families that are going to be affected by this, either on the ground or in the airplane. Again, I hope we can get some answers for them because, not knowing the answers, but also knowing the answers to make everyone else's experience safer because of these, things they find out. In other sad news, we have to say goodbye to one of the kind of pioneers of rock music, or, at least kind of one of the greats. Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys has passed away. And a lot of people are coming out to pay their respects. Brian Wilson's Beach Boy bandmates break silence on his death, as well as his daughter Carney, saying, we already miss you so much already. The Beach Boys are honoring their late co-founder and singer after Brian's family announced on Wednesday, June 11th, that he had passed away at the age of 82. The official Instagram account for the Beach Boys shared a sweet post honoring the late musician. The world mourns a genius today, and we grieve for the loss of our cousin, our friend, our partner in a great musical adventure, the band began the caption, sharing a vintage photo of Brian alongside it. Brian Wilson wasn't just the heart of the Beach Boys, he was the soul of our sound. They continued, the melodies he dreamed up and the emotions he poured into every note changed the course of music forever. His unparalleled talent and unique spirit created the soundtrack of so many lives around the globe, including our own. Together we gave the world the American dream of optimism, joy, and a sense of freedom. Music made people feel good, made them believe in summer and endless possibilities. The God Only Knows group wrote. The Beach Boys then noted that they were heartbroken by his passing. We will continue to cherish the timeless music we made together and the joy that he brought millions over the decades. And while we'll miss him deeply, his legacy will live on through the songs that he wrote and in our memories. Our hearts will our hearts go out to Brian's family and his loved ones during this difficult time. While the band's lead singer, Michael Love, has yet to post a statement on his own, he did share the Beach Boys Instagram post on his stories. The Beach Boys co-founder and rhythm guitarist Al Jardine also paid tribute to Brian on Instagram on June 11th. Brian Wilson, my friend, my classmate, my football teammate, my Beach Boy bandmate, and brother in spirit, I will always be blessed that you were in our lives for as long as you were, he wrote, sharing a photo of him and Brian together in plaid shirts. I think one of the most comforting thoughts right now is that you're reunited with Carl and Dennis and singing those beautiful harmonies again. He wrote, referring to late bandmates Carl Wilson and Dennis Wilson. You are a humble giant who always made me laugh and will celebrate your music forever. Brian, I'll really miss you. I still have the warmth of the sun. John Stamos, who has toured with the Beach Boys and who has been performing with the band on their 2025 Sounds of Summer tour, also shared a heartfelt Instagram tribute on June 11th. Brian Wilson didn't just soundtrack my life, he filled it with color, with wonder, and with some of the most unforgettable, emotional, and joyful moments I've ever known. The Full House alumni, at 61 began. It's hard to put into words what it meant to stand beside him, laugh with him, and play music with him. Stamos also shared a photo of him with Brian and noted that the late musician was more than a musical genius. He was a gentle, soulful, funny, complex, and beautiful man. He heard things no one else could hear. He felt things deeper than most of us ever will. And somehow he turned all of that into music that wrapped itself around the world and made us all feel a little less alone. Now, Stamos continued, I grew up worshiping the Beach Boys and never imagined one day I would get to play with them, let alone call Brian a friend. Brian gave the world, pet sounds, God only knows, and wouldn't it be nice? Songs that didn't just play in the backgrounds of our lives, but shaped who we were. They shaped who I became. He also wrote that his heart is with Brian's family members. Brian once said, music is God's voice, and I believe he's right. Now that voice, his voice, is part of a divine chorus. The music didn't end. Rest easy, Brian. Thank you for the music. Thank you for the moments. I'll carry them with me forever. And Brian's daughter, Carney Wilson, also broke her silence on her father's passing. I have no words to express the sadness I feel right now, she began on the post, which she shared alongside a photo of her and her sister, Wendy Wilson. My father, Brian Wilson, was, every fiber of my body. He will be remembered by millions and millions until the world ends. So there you go. I mean, again, just a prolific musical, I say influence, not influencer, influence, and, a great source of those feel-good summer songs that made you just happy to turn them on. I mean, I love all of the songs. I will say that, I didn't really know that they were from the Beach Boys when I was younger. I kind of thought that John Stamos had written them, not gonna lie. Because John Stamos, I think, had that part where on Full House he was touring with the Beach Boys. I kind of thought that the Beach Boys had formed around John Stamos, not realizing that one preceded the other in my ignorant 9-year-old brain. But having found out that that was in fact the Beach Boys, I really loved their fun and summery music. And it really is just, good, feel-good music. And I love it. So I totally understand how people are heartbroken all over the musical world. And even those of us who just have great memories of, their life and what was happening around those songs. So I think it's perfectly, fine to be a little bit down today, to maybe listen to some songs and maybe share them with younger people like me who might have been a little bit dumb as to what the Beach Boys were, but share those with your grandkids, the kids of today. You know, show them people could actually play musical instruments and didn't need auto tune. It might break their little minds. So, pay it forward. Share your favorite songs of Brian Wilson with your younger friends and family today. And, pay it forward. Let them have those kind of, musical memories with you. Explain, the first time you heard a song. Again, that's how these songs, these memories, and these things move forward. We have to share them to people who might not have been there at the time. Well, I'm never going back into the ocean. The biggest great white shark ever recorded in the Atlantic is now tracking off the North Carolina coast. My Tar Heel friends, I'm gonna need you to watch out because apparently Jaws is no longer going to, was it Nantucket in Jaws? I can't remember, but I knew it was somewhere northern. The biggest great white shark that has ever been recorded by researchers in the Atlantic is on the move toward a very popular U.S. vacations hotspot, New Jersey. I knew it was somewhere in the New England sort of area. Now, the Contender, a 14-foot beast, was tagged in the North Atlantic Ocean by Osarch in January, a nonprofit that conducts research on large marine mammals, 45 miles off the coast of Florida and Georgia, off of Jacksonville. Now, after going off radar for nearly a month, the tracker only transmits a locating signal when the shark's dorsal fin is briefly above the surface of the water. It surfaced last week, off of Pamlico Sound in North Carolina. Again, this is why I'm not going into the ocean. Now, the beast appears to have made the dart north for the last several weeks. Now, measuring over 1,653 pounds, Contender is estimated to be around 30 years old. This stopover is believed to be critical in their feeding period, allowing him to build energy reserves for what may be a journey of more than 1,000 miles. Dr. Harley Newton, one of the chief scientists in the non-for-profit, kind of tracking organization and veterinarian from Ponte Verde, Florida, explained the behavior of these mammoth creatures. This time of year, white sharks are starting their late spring, early summer migration. From about May 16th to June 30th, they're moving from their southern overwintering area to their summer and fall foraging areas in the northeastern U.S. and Atlantic in over near Canada. Okay, actually, New Jersey, you might want to keep your eyes open too. Now, the tagging involved carefully capturing Contender alongside a research vessel, collecting biological samples. Yeah, this dude doesn't get paid enough. I mean, if you're going to have me leaning over a boat trying to fiddle with a great white, I better get dental, vision, and catastrophic insurance, as well as a whole hell of a lot of aperture money. That being said, you couldn't pay me enough. Really? You could pay me a whole lot and I'm still not doing it. Now, the tag does transmit real-time GPS data whenever he surfaces, enabling researchers and the public to track his movement live via the non-for-profit's Global Shark Tracker kind of website. Dr. Newton said, "We often see sharks on our Global Shark Tracker spend a period of time off the Outer Banks before they move to the north, which is what the great white Contender appears to be doing." Again, you do not pay this man enough. Let me just tell you. I am not messing and or irritating a damn great white shark. There's just no way. This may be due to the rich resources in the region that would serve as a time to feed and prepare before that, additional 1,000 miles of travel up to more northern and deeper waters to do more like, cold water seals and things like that. Now, Contender's migration has been closely monitored to advance scientific research and promote shark conservation. Great white sharks play a vital role in the marine ecosystems, and by regulating those kind of prey populations, and an apex predator is very important, keeping prey populations from getting so large that they eat out all the available resources and things like that. So as much as, great white sharks scare me, I do understand that they are an important part of, the circle of life. So I get it. Now, data from Contender and other tagged sharks will help inform conservation efforts and help protect, critical habitats, not only for the great white, but for all of the animals that kind of live underneath them. You protect the apex predator, you're going to protect those, biospheres as well. At least that's how I kind of figured it out. I don't know. In positive news, and thank goodness this man has almost been found, or they are close on his heels. This absolute douche canoe, this absolute reject from the land of humanity. Investigators are closing in on Travis Decker, the, homeless ex-soldier wanted in the unaliving of his 3 daughters. So I'm kind of okay with him getting, if they happen to not catch him all alive, am I going to be too upset? No. No, I'm not. That being said, there's a reason I'm not a U.S. Marshal, because little kids are involved. I may have an issue like, oh, I saw something in his hand. Can you prove that? I'm just throwing it out there. Now, investigators have said that they are closing in on the fugitive ex-soldier who is wanted in the strangulation deaths of all 3 of his young daughters after they found items they believe belonged to him near a popular Washington hiking area. Now, authorities launched into a frantic manhunt for Travis Decker, 32, after he failed to return his daughters to his ex-wife following a May 30th custody visit. The 3 sisters, Peyton, aged 9, Evelyn, aged 8, and Olivia, aged 5, were all found dead by the hands of their father at a Wenatchee campground 3 days later. We found items that are of interest to us because we perceive they could be from Mr. Decker. Chelan County Sheriff Michael Morrison said during a press conference Wednesday. We have also followed up with some of his friends and family, and we believe that we are closing in on his trail. The press conference followed a possible sighting of the alleged, killer dad, who is homeless and has had outdoor survivalist skills. That he was in the same area earlier this week. Now, backpackers alerted authorities to a lone hiker near Kolichuk Lake who was ill-prepared for the conditions. The Chelan County Sheriff's Office deployed ground teams and canine units to investigate the hiking area near the Alpine Lake in the Cascade Range known as the Enchantments. Now, the lone hiker sprinted away when a police helicopter flew to the scene, and canine units led investigators to a trail at Ingalls Creek Trailhead, which is closed off for a short time as investigators were combing over its footpaths and trying to see if they could figure out where, where this man had gone. We feel pretty confident that it could be him, Morrison said during a Wednesday press conference, but again, we're not going to say 100% until we have him in our grip. The manhunt for Decker entered its 12th day as the sheriff announced that his team was going to switch its approach. You see, you will see a change in our tactics as we proceed forward. You will not see the amount of resources that we've had down there, but you're going to be seeing a different element of our approach as we continue to track down Travis, following leads and making it very clear that every single day Travis is out there, he's going to have to aim for perfection. But he stressed that the search will still continue until the suspect is found. We'll continue to hunt, he said. Decker is charged with 3 counts of aggravated murder after the bodies of his 3 young girls were found with their hands zip-tied. Screw this man. Screw this man. I don't care if he comes in alive. Their hands were zip-tied and plastic bags. I thought maybe he had done a hand hug, which would have been bad enough, but the fact that these little girls couldn't protect themselves, screw this man. Screw him sideways with a cactus for as many times until all of us don't feel rage anymore. Just absolutely gross. Now, that was according to the autopsy report. The girls were reported missing on May 30th. He is considered armed and dangerous. So as much of as all of us and most, I'm going to no, these are the girls that we're going to remember. We're not going to remember that douche canoe's face. That being said, do not approach this man. As much as we all now have bitch fire in our heart for this man, he is still, a dangerous person. Don't go after him. Don't think of, starting your own vigilante posse. As fun as that sounds, Mama Mo's going to tell you no, because he is still an absolutely dangerous person. And as much as we have the rage in our hearts, we do not have the skills in our toolboxes to do all the hiking and tracking and all of that. Now, Decker's time is running out, Morrison said, adding that international, federal, and state and local enforcement are not going to give up until he's been captured. He's surrounded. Washington State knows who he is, and eventually he's going to tire. Eventually he's going to make a mistake. So there you go. Again, I hope he makes a mistake. I kind of hope he gets trampled by and or attacked by a, bobcat, if there's bobcats in Washington, or whatever local flora and fauna, like a rabid squirrel colony just happens to attack him. I'm kind of okay with that. That being said, now, I will say that God's, mill grinds slowly but relentlessly. And after that story, we need to understand what this father might be facing when he goes to jail and faces what we like to call Gen Pop justice. Now, one child unaliver found out exactly what Gen Pop justice looks like. Now, normally, I don't try to rub people's faces in terribleness, but on this, I'm going to go ahead and revel in FAFO. You decided to take a life, and now yours got taken. I care oh so little, especially when it was a 2-year-old. A medical examiner reveals how a killer dad, one who set his 2-year-old daughter on fire, died in a notoriously violent Arizona prison. Well, that's a face only not even a mother could love. And apparently your roommates in, general population also didn't love it. A murderous dad serving a life sentence for setting ablaze his 2-year-old daughter, 26 years ago, died of lung cancer in his cell. Well, I thought that this was going to be Gen Pop justice, not lung cancer. Damn it. Well, I guess God got him in the end, and I'm going to go revel in that. I don't really care. Look, it might be in poor taste, but God eventually got you, and now you're going to have to deal with Satan. Have fun with that. Wait one sec. Oh, is that my car? No, it's not my car. Sorry, there was a car alarm going, and I was trying not to be that neighbor who just lets their car alarm go on and on, thinking it's not theirs. Well, so apparently, his cells decided to kill him, but apparently it wasn't Gen Pop justice. The body of convicted murderer Sean Ryan Grell, 50, was discovered by authorities in Arizona State Prison Complex in Tucson on April 19th. Now, officials didn't disclose any details about his death at the time, but a report from a medical examiner obtained by the Post on Wednesday can confirm he died of natural causes. You still got 26 more years on this earth you shouldn't have. Quote me at this point. The death penalty, I think, for cases of child annihilation should be legal in all 50 states. I know Ghazni would disagree with me, but I kind of have no chill for child cases, and honestly don't think that the taxpayers should have to keep this man, in his honey buns for the rest of his life. Now, the cause of death was metastatic non-small cell lung cancer. So again, his body decided they no longer wanted to work with him. Now, his death generated online speculation as to whether it was a result of a revenge killing or, something else, given the horrifying and absolutely horrific nature of his crime. Now, I don't want to remember him. I do want to remember this beautiful baby girl that he annihilated, because absolutely, what the hell, sir? Now, this speculation wasn't without, sort of information behind it. 3 prisoners were in fact killed on April 4th by Ricky Wessner, a notorious convict who is serving 16 life sentences for murder in his role in one of the longest prison hostage situations in American history. So it was not without the realm of possibility that this man might have received a little Gen Pop justice. Now, 2 of Wassner's victims were serving life sentences for SMEC's, basically abuse against a minor of a gross kind, and another was in there for essaying and unaliving a 15-year-old. So basically, this man goes in and he takes care of people who predate on children. At least that's what he told people in a recent phone call. Now, the medical examiner was brought in to sort of say that, again, while this man has kind of been going out and weeding our population out, he was not responsible for this particular inmate's death. So that being, again stated, had this man passed away from Gen Pop justice, would I be all that upset? Hell no. Hell no. Now, Grell was serving, because when I say that, let me just explain to you what he did to his daughter. Now, Grell was serving a life sentence for unaliving his daughter over 25 years ago. He picked up little baby Kristen from a Mesa daycare on December 2nd, 1999, took her to McDonald's for lunch, according to court records. After that, he told the little girl that they were going to go see Christmas lights, but instead he drove to Target to buy a plastic gas can and gasoline. He then drove to the desert outside of Mesa, lay his sleeping daughter on the ground, and you get the rest. You get the rest of what he did. Now, little Kristen, of course, woke up, staggered 10 feet, and collapsed on the ground. Now, he later confessed to killing her at a press conference earlier the next morning. I took the gasoline and I poured it on her, he told investigators during a videotaped interview. I took the match and threw it on her, and he added that with no trace of emotion. Where is Gen Pop justice? Gosh darn it. I mean, I'm sure lung cancer has to hurt and whatever, but I don't really care at this point. Like, why wasn't Gen Pop justice used on this man? Because I want to do, allegedly in Minecraft, some Gen Pop justice. I'd like to, take his corpse and let Aperture do whatever to it. That being said, this little girl is the one that needs to be remembered, not her, sperm donor. That man wasn't a father. Nope. No way. Now, in other news, now I'm not saying forgo Tylenol and penicillin, but apparently there is a Filipino healer that says that most of your ailments can be fixed by pit viper bites. So if you've tried everything in Western medicine, again, I'm not a doctor. Check with your local GP or consultant and or regular, general practitioner. I doubt they're going to, endorse snake bite venom, but I'm not a doctor. For years, Rosalio Kulit, a prescribed healer from the Philippines, has been treating the sick by allowing them to be bitten by venomous pit vipers. I mean, sounds good. Now, the controversial healer who uses viper venom to treat various ailments, he claims he has only discovered, the curative properties by being bitten on accident. And after he was bitten by one of his pit vipers, many years ago, it magically cured him of several illnesses he was battling without those specific illnesses being addressed. I don't know what he's supposed to deduce, helped him. He then began preaching, benefits of the northern Philippine temple pit viper venom ever since, making a name for himself as a snake healer. Again, we have we have snake handlers in more towards the West Virginia, but deep in the hills and hollers of Appalachia, you might find some of this. Still not gonna recommend this. Now, there is no evidence, according to, experts, as to any sort of pit viper venom having curative properties. And it could prove dangerous, extremely dangerous for people who are allergic to the snake venom. Now, Joy Taro, the, snake healer's daughter, told RT that the northern Philippine temple pit viper is a safe snake whose venom isn't deadly and doesn't cause the flesh around the bite to rot. And that's because the snake venom is primarily a neurotoxin and has a much smaller percentage of hemotoxic. So it's more likely to affect your brain, nervous system, and it is not, it doesn't turn your blood into mush, basically. That's what hemotoxic, it will basically destroy the blood vessels, any sort of tissue that has any sort of blood flow to it. That's where you get the necrotic, tissue or dead tissue. But there you go. I mean, again, I'm not going to recommend it. Does it mean I'm going to stop taking Pepto-Bismol? Absolutely not. Not Aperture, I mean Arca. Well, yeah, same point. Now for the time where we get all of our rage out from the early, it's hebotoxic, I forgot. From our earlier stories, we call the man on the hour, the man who can deal with all of these injustices, because justice is a journey, but at the end, lordship awaits.
They're our skin, they steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop lordship from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Chippy's coming and he don't play games.
Another day, another tragic story. If this case goes to trial, I will probably be covering it on the Petty Express. I know that kiddo cases aren't for everyone, but I do feel like someone needs to say these kiddos' names. And while they won't be the biggest part of the Petty Express because Lori Vallow still exists, every once in a while, if some of these cases that I've brought you from Lord Chippy do actually get to the trial phase, we will try to cover those. I understand they're not for everyone, but at sometimes I feel like we should at least get these trials out there. Maryland State Police, in a Facebook post on Wednesday, say that a body has been recovered in Maryland's Cecil County in connection with the investigation into the homicide of little Nola Dinkins. They're still waiting, though, for a positive identification on the remains found. Now, police in Delaware announced that they had canceled an Amber Alert for the missing 3-year-old and have now begun investigating the case as a homicide. Now, during a press conference on Wednesday, carried by the Washington, D.C. area Fox affiliate WTTG, New Castle County Police Department Public Information Officer Sergeant Andrea Botterbush provided an update to the Amber Alert issued on Tuesday for 3-year-old Nola Dinkins. Now, according to the police, Dinkins' mother, whose name has not yet been released to the public, lied about her daughter having been abducted on Tuesday night when she reported the girl missing at around 7:15 p.m. Now, less than 24 hours after the Amber Alert was issued for this little girl, police announced that it had been canceled. Now, in that news release, Botterbrush stated that Nola's mother initially told them that she had pulled over to the side of the road in front of an apartment complex in Newark, Delaware. The mother then allegedly told police that as she attempted to calm Nola down, an unidentified white male approached them in their vehicle and threatened the mother with a force multiplier. She claimed to police that the man then took her daughter in a dark colored SUV that was being driven by a white female and fled. Investigators with the New Castle County Division of Police Criminal Investigation Units, as well as the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And what a lot of people don't realize is if there is a legitimate or an even thought, semi-credible idea that there is a child abduction, local FBI, branches can be brought in because the FBI can bring many more resources to bear on an abduction case. Think the Skelton brothers, think Gannon Stalk, the FBI was brought in. So in these events where there's even a semi-credible, allegation that there has been an abduction, the FBI can be mobilized. And my guess is that with the FBI mobilization, the lies of the mother were found out much more quickly than had it been local police. Now, eventually, police came to the conclusion that the mother's story about the kidnapping was false, and the case was being treated as a homicide investigation by the Maryland State Police. Now, Nola and her mother are Maryland residents. Botterbush did not take questions during her press conference on Wednesday and did not immediately respond to an inquiry from Law and Crime about what evidence, prompted them to go from a kidnapping to a homicide. And we have to keep in mind, it might be a pale hope, but we do have to wait, for the positive identification of the remains found. But it is looking like, unfortunately, this is going to be another case of a parent pretending their child, got abducted or ran away and they had a hand in it. But until they release the mother's name, until they positively ID the, any remains that were found, while they have shifted it to a homicide case, I can't speculate any further other than if evidence comes out that the mom did this, again, Snake Island, Lord Chippy, let's just, not have to pay for her for the rest of her life with taxpayer money. These two morons who should have shuffled off the mortal coil them own selves rather than having a damn child, just, again, well, they didn't have a damn child. They were foster parents. Again, if you this is a job you actually have to sign up for. You actually have to take classes. Mr. Moe and I have looked into becoming foster parents as our kiddos, move out of the house. Now, it was more of a thought before I got hurt, because we assumed we'd have a lot of energy still after the kiddos were gone, and, possibly sharing that with, other kiddos who needed a family. But the calculus on that has somewhat changed since I've gotten hurt and can't do as much. But I know lovely foster parents in my locality, but you get a-holes like this too. And you'd think if you did all of this work to be a foster parent, why you would be an absolute morally bankrupt, boil on the taint of humanity that needs to be lanced with, prejudice. I can't imagine. I get pretty crabby sometimes. Foster parents lay hands on a 3-year-old with autism to the point he is no longer living for being, quote unquote, a total brat, after months of giving her owies as punishment. What the fuck is wrong with you people? And I know this is supposed to be a morning thing, and I'm sorry for cursing, but what the hell is wrong with you people? Like, Lord Chippy is not sufficient anymore. I say we bring back, stocks in the middle of town centers. That's just my thought. A 3-year-old girl in North Dakota spent months, having hands laid on her, getting yanked around by her hair, and other big punishments over things like chewing her food for too long or crying. She's 3. She's 3. Duh. 3-year-olds, they're just a little bit, bigger than 2-year-olds. They have a little bit more of a language, and maybe not with her having autism, but a little bit more, ability to kind of communicate beyond crying what they need, but they're still a baby. I mean, okay, a toddler, but I mean, these are normal. Crying, taking too long to eat, playing with your food, making messes, spilling things, breaking things. These are all normal things you sign up for, especially if you're going to be a foster parent. Unfortunately, her little body succumbed to all of the abuse at the hands of her foster parents. Now, Jamie Johnson, 44, and Raymond Johnson, 62, both faced murder and CA charges for the young girl's death in March. The child was allegedly given owies as punishment. Also, Child and Family Services, where the hell were you? Because I'm guessing this didn't start with, little things. I bet there was evidence of these owies everywhere. And as far as I know, standard operating procedure for these, child protective agencies is that when a child is in a foster home situation, every visit you are supposed to take the child to another room, have them, undress as much as, modestly, but to be able to see if there's any bruises, if there's anything the foster parents or parents are trying to cover up. They take the clothing off, usually down to the diaper, and then, have to check for other things in the diaper area. But they want to see if there's any owies. You're telling me that this child was coming up with a bunch of random bruises and no one noticed not a damn thing? Okay. And being forced to sleep on a cot inside their, home after being placed in their care several months earlier. Now, police went to the Johnsons' home in Stanley on March 19th after Jamie Johnson called 911 to report that the little girl was unresponsive. Now, the girl was taken to the hospital where I am sure, health professionals worked their damnedest to try to help her, but she unfortunately just succumbed to her injuries. Now, an autopsy report has revealed that she passed away from blunt force trauma to the head. Now, Jamie Johnson allegedly tried claiming that the toddler had fallen down from the stairs days earlier and suffered a head injury, but the evidence compiled by the Stanley Police Department and Montreal County Sheriff's Office, including ring camera footage, text messages, and interviews with other children living in the Johnson home, allegedly told a much different story. How dumb are these people? It's always they fell off the bed or off the couch or down the stairs. Again, if they fell at any point in, 2 days prior, why the hell didn't you take them to a doctor? Yeah, head injuries, you go straight to the ER. You do not pass go. You do not collect $100. You go to the doctor. Now, you need to be careful with my mom, one of the kids told investigators with the North Dakota Bureau of Investigation, which took over and handled the case, according to the affidavit, describing her as the meanest one out of the two foster parents. Jamie Johnson is accused of orchestrating the alleged, CA with text messages revealing how she had a difficult time with the behaviors that she and Raymond Johnson attributed to the girl having autism. It's not easy. Sometimes I get crabby and I feel like ish for it. She allegedly, texted a friend, honestly, if I knew how she was, I might not have taken her. You can call child services at any time and they can place her in a foster home that, can handle her. You could do that unless you were using her as a paycheck. Now, while speaking to detectives, Jamie Johnson allegedly claimed that it was because the girl had autism and she would cause marks, on herself by, self-infliction of wounds, basically, that she would hit her own head, that she would bang her own head against the wall, that all of the bruises were, of her own doing. Did you actually think this would work? I mean, I know you think no one notices you don't have a chin, but did you honestly think this would work, chick? Sure. Okay, Jan. Yeah. Now, while speaking with detectives, again, she described that, okay, not everything was self-inflicted. I mean, if ring camera footage shows that I was using an open hand and a closed fist on a 3-year-old, she just really ticked me off. Again, they have ring footage on her. I hope that Gen Pop, I'm not going to read the rest of this. It gets much worse. And honestly, we're starting off the day and we're going to have to listen to Hank Brennan bloviate for 15 minutes or, however long about how he doesn't believe that the state didn't disprove their case. So honestly, I'm not going to read beyond this. If you would like to know the whole story, it is up on Law and Crime. But suffice it to say, these two should never see the light of day again. And I hope that the surviving children from their home are getting the counseling and the mental health support that, they need. Because I can't imagine what seeing, this go on in your home can do to you. Not to mention, I doubt that this evil, caricature of a woman kept her, hands off the other children. So I hope they're getting help. That is all for Lord Shippy today, because I'm already full of rage, full of sage. Now, in other news and other medical practices that I would not recommend, just given what they look like, but I'm not a doctorologist, so you consult your own doctor. But yes, you are seeing this correctly. Senior people in China are hanging by their necks in a new sort of viral exercise created by a man in China to alleviate anything from, neck discomfort, apparently snoring, and a bunch of other different things. Apparently hanging by your neck and running around, running in place, swinging on a swing set is the new viral sort of workout for seniors in China. Well, how far are you willing to go for a good night's rest? Would you take supplements, journal, or do a fire burning ritual? How about swinging from your neck in a public park? Well, that's precisely what some senior citizens in northern Chinese city of Shenyang are doing, and it's going viral. Again, look, I'm not a doctor, but I just this doesn't look like anything safe. Now, footage shared on local social media shows older adults looping U-shaped belts attached to playground bars or trees around their chins and then gently swaying back and forth like lemurs, seemingly without a care in the world. While it's certainly not a sight you want to stumble across in the middle of the night, locals swear that this bizarre practice is a cure for sleep-related issues and spinal discomfort. Anything again, no, no, this can't be good for you. Also, if I did look at the guy in the background, he is like, what in the 50 Shades of Walmart rapture am I looking at? I mean, look, it's not for me. I'm going to tell you, it's not for me. I won't even go to a chiropractor, y'all, so this is not the sport for me. Now, it seems that, his spinal exercises are really taking off. In the past, my cervical spine was in bad shape. I was so uncomfortable lying down every night. But after a few days of, putting this belt around my neck and hanging, it worked pretty well, one fan told local media. Now my throat condition is better and the uncomfortable symptoms are now completely gone. I've been doing this exercise for 2 years already. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and say no. Now, it's unclear exactly how this device works on the spine, and expert says it's, this may trick you, and definitely you don't want to try this at home. People are desperate for better sleep, but no trend is worth risking paralysis or strokes. Certified sleep science coach Rosie Osman of Amerisleep.com said, hanging any part of your body, let alone, your neck, is biomechanically dangerous. But did they paint them blue? Because are you a biomechanic? Are you a biomechanicist? Ma'am, do you understand what you're even talking about? I understand you're like a coach and such, but have you heard of Dr. Judson Welcher? He is amazing. We paid $400K for him. Again, possibly don't do this. Again, cervical traction has always been a thing. They have inflatable ones that can try to, provide very gentle traction on your spine or your cervical spine, so your neck, to try to relieve some of that pressure. But this just looks so unsafe. I do like how the guy in this particular picture, let's see, where is it? Is working on his spine and smoking a cigarette. Not that I have any room to judge him, but I'm just saying. Now, done wrong, this trend can result in nerve damage, spinal injury, or even death from restricted blood flow to the brain. There has already been at least one reported incident in which a man died after mistakenly looping the belt around his neck instead of his chin. Oh, God. Human error aside, in a public park, you also have the elements to contend with. Medical traction uses precise grams of force. A park belt swing is essentially uncontrolled physics experiment on your spine. Brennan, I have the new trend for you to try. According to, Osman, the reason these sleeping hacks gain traction is because they're dramatic, visually striking, and falsely promise to give quick fixes to chronic problems. If you're looking for a soothing rocking sensation that'll make you feel like a baby before going to bed, get a hammock. Otherwise, you might be, in for a forever sleep. So, again, don't... Well, I'm actually feeling I sound better, but I'm feeling still feeling sick, so that works. So again, I wouldn't try this at home, but I'm not a doctorologist or your mother and or your insurance, company. So if you would like to go to China to try this brand new I guess suspension in the park, have fun with that. In other news, we needed a happy story, and I look like her or lumper, and I tend to like her. Roseanne Barr was a big part of my childhood. She was kind of the first sassy mom that I was like, you know what? I kind of resemble that sass. So I will say that I always loved Roseanne. I loved the sitcom. Not so much the remake, but I loved it, and I love that she has been able to find and reunite with the daughter that she put up for adoption. Roseanne Barr has her fame to thank for reuniting her with her oldest daughter. The actress and comedian, 72, opens up in the brand new documentary, Roseanne is America, about reuniting with her daughter, Brandy Brown, after putting her up for adoption shortly after she was born. The actress recalls having her daughter when she was 18 years old and being shipped away to the Salvation Army home for unwed mothers in Denver, where she gave birth in May 1971. When I gave my daughter up for adoption, I said to her, I'll see you again when you're 18 because I'm not going to change my name and I'm going to be famous. I'm going to have my own show called Roseanne, Barr recalls in a documentary. She was eventually reunited with Brown when the National Enquirer, a tabloid magazine, found her daughter's personal information. It all came out because when I got famous, the National Enquirer found my daughter by bribing someone in records in Colorado for my name, and her adoptive parents' names. Now, in retrospect, Barr says she doesn't harbor any ill will toward the magazine. Am I upset about it? No, I'm grateful. Now, earlier in the documentary, Barr opens up about the circumstances that surrounded her first pregnancy. Mom didn't want the neighbors to be ashamed of her, she claims. When I look back on that, I about bust a gut laughing because they were all drunks and perverts. Roseanne has a way with words. The Emmy winner is the mother to 5 children, including Brown, and she shares 3 children, daughters Jessica, Jennifer, and son Jake with first husband Bill Pentland. She also welcomed a son Buck with her now ex-husband Ben Thomas. Barr shared a photo with Brown in 2024 in an Instagram post in which they wore matching love shirts and thick beanies. So again, look, you may like her, you may lump her, you may be undecided about Roseanne, but one thing that her story highlights is that I'm glad that now teen girls, and I have always told my girls, like, if something happens, if you get pregnant, it's not the end of the world. We're going to be here. We're going to be here. I'm not going to ship you off to a home and we'll deal with it. And the fact that, such societal pressure made girls, and families feel like they had to hide things for so long. I'm glad that we've moved forward. Now, do I wish that everyone waited till they were married or in a committed relationship? Sure. Especially my girls. Could you please not give me gray hair right now? That being said, I am glad we have moved forward to a place where we're no longer shipping girls, to a cold, place to have a child all on their own with no family support. Because I can tell you as, a ripe old, I think I was 21 when I had my first child, there are moments when you need your mom. And my mom wasn't there for the birth of my first child, and I wish she was. There are moments where you're reduced to a little kid. When your body's going crazy, when, they're telling you to push, when you finally realize that you're going to have to become a mom yourself, you kind of need your mom there. No matter where your relationship is, it's kind of comforting to, have your mom there. Now, my mom has been there for several more of my births. It, I mean, she had 5 more chances. So she was there for several other children's births. But I will tell you that I am glad, again, take Roseanne out of the whole thing. I am glad that we have no longer stigmatized it, but maybe we've gone a little too far the other way. You shouldn't be super-de-duper proud of it either. If your 14-year-old is pregnant, like, there's a happy medium between, like, let's not, shame and let's not celebrate. So maybe if we could find a happy medium. Well, yeah, I didn't manage to get that much into family gatherings. Well, it looks like Tom Cruise has made the Guinness World Record for being the most middle-toothed person. Okay, you can't unsee it after I show this to you, but this man has this tooth going directly down the center of his face. Now, you're telling me that with the plastic surgery and probably, I don't know, whale placenta this man uses to try to not look 70 or whatever age he is, he couldn't have fixed his, middle tooth? Look, it's just creepy. It takes me out every Tom Cruise movie he's in. That middle tooth, I see it and I can't unsee it. This is why Mr. Mo can't watch movies with me, because I'm like, he has a middle tooth. I can't watch it. Look, I'll take you out. I won't be able to watch it without making comments. And he's like, you can try. And I'm like, no, I can't. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning star Tom Cruise has earned a Guinness World Record during filming because he completed 6 jumps out of a helicopter with his parachute on fire. Nicole Kidman is over there like, crash, crash, you short little twerp. I mean, I don't know, but I'm guessing allegedly, although she now has Keith Urban, so what's she complaining about? I say upgrade. And he's not a Scientologist, so again, major upgrade. The record-keeping organization said Cruise, who plays Ethan Hunt on the espionage film series, earned the title for most burning parachute jumps made by an individual. In each of his 16 jumps, Cruise was strapped to a parachute that had been soaked in fuel and lit on fire before cutting himself free of the burning chute and deploying a backup. Tom doesn't just play action heroes, he is an action hero. Again, why would you do this? Why would anyone do this? But here you go. We can watch this. Oh, no. Well, we got to see him nearly fall out of the sky on a burning parachute. Why would you do any of this? This cannot be a good idea. A large part of his success can be chalked up to his absolute focus on authenticity and pushing the boundaries of what a leading man can do in his 80s. He makes octogenarian look great. Actually, is he younger than Alessi? I need to look at this. Wait a minute. Why don't we have his age up here? Come on, you ageist. I want to make fun of his age. Oh, wait, that makes me the ageist. It's Tom Cruise. He's got more money than I'll ever see in my lifetime. So there you go. I mean, Tom Cruise, again, risking his life for Mission Impossible. I watched the first one, never watched any of the other ones. And I'll be honest with you, the first one kind of bored me. But, oh, he's in his 60s. Fine. He makes 60 look, well, I mean, there you go. But there you go. He got in the Guinness Book of World Records. Now, who the heck does this woman think she is? I ask myself this about many people on the internet, but honest to God, who does Sherry Papini think she is? Sherry Papini says her sister and her ex have an inappropriate, relationship. Ma'am, did you fake your own, kidnapping with your ex-boyfriend and ask him to, solder things into your flesh in order to perpetuate, that you were kidnapped rather than, your husband divorcing you and taking the children and giving you nothing because you were found in another affair? Because I feel like maybe those of us who have done all of those things don't have the stone to throw about inappropriate relationships. There is another bombshell in the Sherry Papini world or universe. The 42-year-old who recently broke her silence on the alleged kidnapping in Investigation Discovery 4-part series, Sherry Papini, Who the Hell Cares? I mean, Caught in a Lie, is now alleging that her ex-husband, Keith Papini, and her sister, Sheila Coister, have developed a highly inappropriate relationship. I mean, if the man isn't going to your family reunion to boff every cousin, I think I think he's okay. She was very involved with being on camera, just like Keith was. Sherry, who shares son Tyler, 15, and daughter Violet, 13, with Keith, said of her sister on a June 11th episode of the Villia Files. Then she started to develop a really inappropriately, close relationship with Keith. They got like really close and they're still really close. Again, ma'am, faked your own kidnapping, had multiple affairs, faked the kidnapping to get out of said, additional affair after you knew you had signed basically a postnuptial agreement. If Keith ever found you cheating again, you would lose access to your children and any of the marital assets. So again, I'm just going to throw it out there. Maybe you don't have a leg to stand on, gimpy. They're still close, and I think there's just a lot of inappropriate things that have happened between Keith and Sheila. Just a lot of things that I've seen. Now, while the subject of, Hulu's The Perfect Wife didn't go so far as to outright say that Sheila and Keith were romantically involved, she did claim that noteworthy footage of the pair got left on the cutting room floor for Caught in a Lie. I had this really cool home video that I had hoped would end up in the film where you can see Keith and Sheila engaging, in a way physically. Sherry explained, and then you can hear my dad in the background go, "Oh God." Now, E has reached out to Keith and Sheila for comment, but has yet to hear back. Sherry disappeared in 2016 while out on a run and emerged 22 days later. The mother of two was arrested in 2022 for allegedly orchestrating her entire abduction and later pled guilty to 1 count of mail fraud and 1 of making false statements, ultimately going on to serve 10 months of her 18-month sentence. I mean, it could happen to any of us who were caught cheating. Now, she said that it was, around that tumultuous time in her life that her sister re-entered. I don't talk to my sister. I don't have a very good relationship with my sister. Sheila and I were never close. Now, we were close for a short period of time, but then the abduction happened. And, it was really weird that she suddenly, tried to take advantage of all the media about my kidnapping. Ma'am, you lied. You lied. You and me both, Lesko, because I had to finally break down and actually take some daytime cold medicine, because daytime cold medicine is usually hit or miss with me. It will either be daytime and I can function, or daytime you're in a coma. Yeah, I mean, that's where I don't get why she's throwing shade on her sister when she is the one that has been shown to cheat. But it goes to prove my point that cheaters will always accuse you of what they've been doing. And if someone is constantly accusing you of cheating without any, receipts or any indication that you have ever done anything that would give them cause, they might be cheating. At least that's Mo's, take on the whole thing. I could be right, I could be wrong. but most of the time, I'm going to call it, you're probably, and in possibly something I shouldn't be laughing at, but I am going to laugh at because, oh my God, hilarious. An influencer sobs in front of TikTok headquarters after getting banned. Now, she's still on YouTube, Instagram, and every other social media place I don't even know about. Social media gods can be cruel. Just ask Natalie Reynolds, an influencer with millions of followers, who was so upset that she got banned from TikTok that she recently went to one of the social media companies' offices and was filmed screaming and crying while on the phone with her dad. Like, Dad, they won't let me in, she screamed. I need my TikTok account unbanned. Now, maybe if you didn't call your dad, you would realize that you could probably talk to someone in customer service or, content management before you go to the headquarters and, pull a stunt like this and call your parents. That being said, she looks all of 24, so there you go. Now, Reynolds, who had 2.5 million followers on TikTok, was banned for apparently sparking the ire of rival influencer Brooke Monoki and other TikTok users who have accused Reynolds of copying, Brooke's content, which includes dances, skits, challenges, and pranks. Now, in one video posted to YouTube, a tearful Reynolds with mascara running down her face says that she plans to pursue legal actions against an unnamed creator. Oh God, please let this be the next thing LawTube covers, because I need two people I both don't care about. And with nothing really real at stake, I need a trial where win, lose, or draw is just going to be two people I don't really give two craps what happens in their life, and it's not a big deal. So let this be, the next lawsuit. It sounds like she was stealing content ideas. I don't know. I don't have a TikTok, so I don't know what exactly, it is that she stole or didn't stole. I could care so much less about it. But there you go. I mean, again, please let this be our next trial so I can just laugh at whoever wins or loses. That being said, I am going to let you guys go. You will be redirected to my Karen Reed. I know we've got a little time before that. I'm going to take a quick bio break and get my notes ready because I do foresee that we are going to see some motions, at least in the starting part of today. Then we're going to get to the boring stuff that I think Baker, Valhalla, and I will probably bail on, the instructions. But I do think that we're going to get possible fireworks, especially with Alessi wanting to correct that corrective motion or instruction for the holes in the hoodie. But I also noticed that Yannetti was going to bring up that the state really didn't prove their case. And I think that if they are able to get the transcript of all of Brennan's sort of, you don't know where he hit, you don't know this. I think from yesterday, that might be a really good, indication that the state doesn't have an actual, kind of provable theory of what happened. That being said, we'll all wait to see. I'm sure Brennan will be annoying or possibly crying. Will Lolly be playing with paper clips again? Who knows? Maybe, we'll get Lolly some Play-Doh so he won't look so, sad. He needs some fidget spinners. So here's hoping that we can get Lolly some fidget spinners. So let's go over there. Remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire. Because people, when you're nice, they're going to think that they can talk to you like Brennan talked to Rentschler. But don't ever push a nice person too far. Because when we go off, we kill you with kindness. And then you look like a super douche. Bye, you guys.